right, folks, we are back up live here on YouTube once again on the Freetarian Show. So I attended the Trump rally / protest yesterday in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And I gotta tell you, man, it was kind of surreal. There were a lot of, it was amazing the amount of Trump supporters that were out there, literally by the thousands. It was just absolutely incredible. Definitely the Trump supporters greatly outnumbered the Trump protesters. That said, for the most part, it was incredibly civil. Trump protesters were quite loud, and I'm not gonna paint a nice picture here. I mean, the Trump protesters I found to be significantly more vulgar than I expected. We're talking like even old ladies that were against Trump were just saying words out of their mouth that just didn't match their age, and it didn't match anything that I would consider to be civil. That said, they weren't violent at all. I had one old lady, as I was walking by in front of the Trump protesters, yelled down to me, "Get out of here, Nazi!" And I looked up at her, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You support Trump, you get out of here, you Nazi!" And I informed her, I said, "Ma'am, I don't support Trump. I don't support any kind of government. I'm a full-on anarchist. I'm just here to document what the happenings on my video." And then the lady goes, oh, okay. So the fact that she just labeled me a Nazi because I was walking by her, I mean, they were just looking literally to call anybody that wasn't holding an anti-Trump sign a Nazi. And you know, quite frankly, I didn't see any Nazis there. None. I saw, most of them were leftist liberals. There were maybe a few paid provocateurs there from Antifa. But I'm pretty sure they have no idea what they were talking about. They're just paid to be there and to cause a ruckus. But even they attempted to cause a ruckus, but most people just ignored them. They were sitting on the loud horns, and even the anti-Trump protesters were ignoring them for the most part. They weren't, I guess against them or anything, but they didn't seem like they were for them either. And the people that were really trying to cause a ruckus, I guess they didn't really find too much of an audience in the anti-Trump protesters that were attending yesterday. At least that was my experience. And what was weird, really odd, was the fact that the intersection that I was mainly in, where the main protesting was happening, there were people getting in each other's face, yelling at each other over different issues. But for the most part, I saw a bunch of those confrontations end with quiet down, had a few more discussions, and ended with shaking hands and going about their own way. I didn't see any violence at all. And I certainly didn't see anybody with gas masks anywhere. For the most part, the cops did a really good job. I was pleasantly surprised with the job the cops did during the main body of the protests in the rally. Whenever there was an anti-Trumper and a Trumper in each other's faces, and they're yelling at each other. And I mean, I got in there with my video camera because I was getting ready to, maybe some punches are going to be thrown here, and I wanted to get that documented. And the cops would surround those people, but the cops did not interfere with the natural, organic ebb and flow of the debates or the arguments. And that was really nice to see. They were only there, what seemed to me was to stop any violence. If someone were going to throw a fist, there'd be a cop right there to step in between them. But for them, other than that, The Phoenix cops did a stellar job. Stellar job. They let the natural ebb and flow of human beings, yelling and screaming over different issues, whatever. They let the natural ebb and flow, organic ebb and flow of those conversations or arguments actually take place. That was a beautiful thing to see. Bravo to the Phoenix Police Department for that. I was thoroughly impressed with how they handle, because let's face it, there are some cops that will just egg the folks that are involved in an argument. They'll egg them on both sides and try to get them to throw to cause violence, and that way they can beat them up and, you know, throw handcuffs on them and take them to jail. That didn't happen with the Phoenix cops. Hands down, Phoenix cops did an outstanding job. Until one, and this is just one Phoenix cop. I should have gotten his name before I had my little confrontation with him. There was one Phoenix cop. I was constantly walking up to where the police had cordoned off the anti-Trumpers to an area, and I was constantly walking up there and filming and interviewing and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, this one cop decides he's not going to let me walk back there. And at first, when I'm like, why are these people walking towards us through that area and you won't let me go right there? It was literally 10 steps. That's all I had to do. There was no logical reason that I could not take 10 steps forward to the front line and film these protesters and interview them. Like I've been doing all night. And at first, his story was, oh, we're trying to get everybody out of there. But yet I see other people walking freely right in front of them. And when I then asked him, I said, why are you letting those people walk in front of the protesters but not me? Oh, all of a sudden the story changed, right? The story changed to, well, we're trying to get everybody out of that area, to, oh, we're only letting people walk this way. Clearly another bold-faced lie. He's just trying to exercise authority. That's all he was trying to. He got off on exercising authority. That kind of pissed me off. And I got that on my Captain's Show YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. And got a couple of rally videos there. And yeah, so other than that one police officer, I was incredibly impressed with the Phoenix Police Department. Not going to give them props. They're still thugs with badges, but what the job they did last night, if we're going to be forced to pay their paychecks and forced to pay for their pensions, that's the kind of job they need to be doing. However, as the night wound down, leave it to the police. They thoroughly disappointed me. So at that intersection, getting us, the night was winding down to where there were at some point thousands of people in that intersection, literally shoulder to shoulder. It was difficult to move around, and everything was ebbing and flowing naturally and organically and peacefully. But as the convention center had already funneled out, most of the Trumpers had gone back to their cars. Most of the anti-Trumpers had gone back to their cars. And I'm standing there with my camera trying to find something else to film, but there was only maybe 100, maybe 150 people left. I mean, it was sparse, and the people that were left there were peaceful. They're just shooting the shit with each other. Like, hey man, just check out that baseball game or whatever. They're just literally normal people just standing around, getting ready to walk back to their cars, but they just stopped to talk to somebody they knew about whatever. It was just normal people. And as I decided, well, this night's over, nothing going to happen now, I turned around and started to walk away. And I'm probably going to guess I got about a half a block away when the cops, who were also peaceful, just standing by their cop cars all along the sidewalk, all of a sudden got in their cars, raced up that intersection that I just walked away from, and pulled out their riot shields and put on their helmets. And I'm like, I stopped and I looked back there, and I had a Trump supporter in front of me. I had an anti-Trump supporter behind me, and they all stopped, and we're all looking back, and we're all looking at each other going, what's going on there? There's nobody left there. except for like a handful of people that were just standing around talking. So we kind of took a few steps back towards that corner, and we look, and even the people that were left there, that the cops had made the line and were facing these few people that were in the street just talking to each other, and you could tell like the worry on their faces. They're looking like, hey, maybe we should get out of here. Like, why are these cops all of a sudden making a riot line right there? We're just standing here. Like, people were flabbergasted. They didn't know, like, there was no violence. There was nobody yelling and screaming. It was just people just talking. The handful of people that were left there were just talking to each other, before they head home. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, this one cat with a gas mask on his head steps off the sidewalk. Nobody knows where he came from. One dude steps off the sidewalk and walks out into the middle of the road, turns and faces the cops that are making the line, and takes his respirator mask off his head and pulls it over his face. Throws his arms up in the air like, "What's up?" And the cops fired a tear gas can in his way. And we're kind of in shock, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, there was no need for this. And then the guy with the gas mask takes a few steps back and soccer kicks the gas can back to the police officers. And then as the guy with the gas mask was backing up, he gets hit in the balls with a pepper pellet and drops him, or at least it looked like it dropped him. The people that were kind of like just standing there are now getting away from the gas, and you can tell from where I was standing, my vantage point, it looked like there was angst on their faces, like, why is this necessary? Like, it was completely not, even from where we were, having just left there, it was completely, there was no need to have any cops there at all. And then the one guy kind of walks over to the guy that just got hit in the balls with the pepper pellet and helps him to his feet and helps him get off to the sidewalk. The weirdest thing was, it seemed like from our vantage point, as soon as the guy helped the supposedly injured guy to the sidewalk, the guy just jumped up and walked away and disappeared like he was fine. There was nothing wrong with him. And so we're all kind of like, the anti-Trumper and the Trumper and me, we're all looking at each other going, what the fuck was that all about? And then the anti-Trumper turns to me and the Trump fan and says, guys, look up there. And we looked a couple of floors up, and I'm assuming there's a parking lot up there or whatever, but the same media people that spent the whole day on the street level in that intersection all of a sudden had their cameras set up above us, looking down on that intersection. That kind of, it's almost like there was no violence the whole day, and with only a handful of people left, the cops are going to put on a show to give the media something to bite into. And then immediately you start to hear on all the radio stations, all the TV stations, oh, the cops are being pelted with rocks and blah, 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 blah. And they even had people that were just there, or supposedly just there, saying, yeah, they were throwing rocks and all this, and the cops pepper sprayed. Dude, none of that shit happened. I mean, maybe a water bottle was thrown. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But I can tell you, there was no... It's the anti-Trumper that pointed out to me and to the Trump fan, pointed out where the media had all of a sudden put their cameras so they could capture, like, I can't say for sure. I have no proof that that was set up by the police and the media in order to give the media something to bite into, a story to bite into. I can't prove that's factual. But if you were on the ground where I was, it certainly looked that way. I have no proof, but I can definitely tell you for a fact there was absolutely no need for the cops to even be there. They could have just gone home and everything would have been fine. There was certainly no need to make a line. a riot line, and there was certainly no need to shoot a gas can. So, I don't know what to say, but when I got home and I watched that video of the guy being shot in the balls with the pepper pellet, he got hit right in the nuts. And when the guy helped him to the sidewalk, from my vantage point, it looked like as soon as he hit the sidewalk, he literally stood up and walked away like nothing was wrong with him. And the guy that helped him to the sidewalk had his arms out in disbelief, like, what just happened here? He couldn't believe the guy just walked away like nothing was wrong with him. That was what it looked like from my vantage point. And like I said, I was probably, at that point, less than half a block away. Maybe a quarter of a block away. I wasn't very far away, but far enough to where I can't say for certain what was going down. But I mean, chop it up for what it is. It was fishy, to say the least, and it makes you question what you see on TV a lot more than I question everything I see on TV. Everything. It's one thing to hear and to read about how corrupt the establishment, the media and the police and government is. It's a whole nother thing to witness something like that actually happen right in front of your eyes. There was no need for tear gas. There was no need for a riot line. I mean, it's not just me as an anarchist saying this. I had an anti-Trumper and a Trumper. There was three of us standing there in disbelief about what we were looking at. So you have three different people of three different beliefs in total agreement that there's something really fucked up and fishy about what we're witnessing down the road. And it was so surreal. So surreal. And then as soon as I get in my car and I start listening to the radio, these people are playing it up like, oh, the riots and rocks and sticks and water bottles were being thrown and the police had to make a riot line and shoot tear gas. And I'm just telling you from my vantage point, and having just left that intersection, and seeing and witnessing the people that were, the handful of people that were left there, where you could tell nothing was going down. There was just no way. There was just normal people around. And from my vantage point, as I walked away and all that went down, man, I don't know what to say. It's so surreal to see something very possibly manufactured just for the media to sink their teeth into. It was amazing. I'm still kind of shocked at it. It was, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. That's my rant for today, folks. It's even hard for me to wrap this up because I'm still flabbergasted by what happened, by what I witnessed. But hey, that is what it is. Till next time, guys. Peace.